Sometimes when a couple breaks up, I cheer. I get excited. I get happy. I know that sounds not very nice, but everyone knows a couple that doesn't belong together. Everybody knows people who are dating, but they are not holding out for everything that they really want. That is their head, their heart, and their hoo-ha's needs. Okay? So, maybe you are that person. Maybe you know that person. Today, Brianna is going to join me again in our Date Like You Mean It series. We are going through the steps that human beings go through in letting go of what doesn't work, starting to articulate what does work. Yo! I love how different you look. Wow.
Yeah, I have so much to do today, so I had to look like a person.
Amazing. Amazing. And look at your nails. Let me see.
It's like Picasso.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Okay.
Right?
So fun. Welcome. I was just telling folks sometimes I get happy when people break up with their people, with their person.
I was just talking about that. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do better this time.
Yeah.
I did cheer when she broke up with her last person because she wasn't getting any of her 3H needs met, head, heart, or hoo-ha.
Nope.
And so we are back. First of all, to hear what's she up to lately. How's it going? Did she stay broken up? Did she start dating like she meant it? Did she start using the 3Hs since we last discussed? And for everybody watching, I'm going to introduce you to the use of the 3H chart. I have a little picture here for you. The actual use of a 3H chart so that anybody who has also had the problem of selling out on their needs and desires will have this very helpful tool to use to avoid that in the future going on. Okay, zoom out and tell folks sort of what did you figure out in a nutshell about where you sell out in terms of the needs of your head, which everybody, maybe if you don't know so far, the needs of your head are like practical needs, like are they available? Do they want what you want? Are they in your town? Do they want kids or not kids? Are they allergic to your pets? Like the head. The heart, how do you feel? Is there trust, respect, admiration, connection? And then the hoo-ha, are you turned on? Are you attracted? So what have you learned about your ability to sell out on all that?
Probably the head area. I'm the type of person that, so originally I didn't think I wanted a relationship. I thought I just kind of wanted to vibe and just like have friends with benefits and stuff. But then when I really started to like analyze what I wanted from people, I realized I did want a boyfriend. So where I sell out is settling. So like if there's somebody I think is attractive enough and they like they're not looking to date right now, I'm like, okay, I'm not looking to date either. It's fine. We can do whatever. Even though like I do want a boyfriend or I do want this. So I definitely settle, and I call it going with the flow, but it's essentially
right.
Settling. And that I do that with everybody I take seriously, which is just a nightmare.
I love that distinction because most people who settle or who lie to themselves essentially do it with a fabulous excuse or like a front.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's so smart is that people, it's not like you've convinced yourself it's okay. You're like, I'm going with the flow. That's a good thing, right? I'm being accommodating. I'm being adjustable. I'm being flexible.
Yep.
And so we can put up a really good sounding front or lie to protect our actual disbelief that we can have the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good to point out. So for folks right now who think they're going with the flow, pretend you're putting yourself in the lie detector test. Are you going with the flow or are you selling out? Like, which is it really? Like if I told you could have all 3Hs, would you keep, but you have to give up this thing you're entertaining. Would you give up the thing you're entertaining to get the real thing? Hard thing to do, but right thing to do. Okay. So how much do you know about your parents' love dating history?
I would say if I had to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, probably like a 7. So I know a decent amount.
Okay, perfect. So what do you know about your mom's dating history that is of interest to you? Like what are the salient aspects of your mom's?
We have the curse. So we like to provide for men, like going out of our way, buying them things, all that, like just giving too much, especially in the beginning. Settling is definitely a thing, and being with somebody, which kind of ties into settling, but being with the wrong person for a really long time. Like my mom was with my father for 20 years and was miserable the whole time. never got married, all of that. And she's, not to say that she's kind of dealing with the same thing. My stepdad is amazing, but they have been together for a really long time. She's told us, that, like me and my sister, about a lot of the things that she's settled for, a lot of the things she doesn't even believe in, like spiritually, and she's dealing with. So settling is a huge thing for her. I guess being comfortable is another big thing. And then that curse of just like always giving and
overgiving, settling, and being
yeah,
crystal clear. Okay. And then your father, what do you know about his love and dating history?
He is a whore. He's always been a whore.
Basic.
He's a very attractive man. He's still attractive to this day. But he, even though he like knows my mom is the one that got away, like he still has always just been, I guess the term would be a womanizer. Like he's never been faithful. He doesn't really value women. He has a terrible relationship with his mom. And I think that's definitely where it starts. Like if you don't respect your mom, you don't respect anybody. So yeah, he's just a joke.
Okay. And did anybody else participate in raising you that we should ask about in terms of their love history or dating history or salient?
My sister, like she used to like watch me, but I don't know if it really counts. But if so, she's just like my mom. So
okay, great. So there's definite themes. Okay.
Yep.
So then oftentimes what happens is we either do exactly what our parents do, which you said is true in regards to your mom and a little bit your sister. We do a variation on a theme, like, oh, we're not gonna do it that way. We're gonna do it a little different, but it's really not that different. It's like aggressive, passive aggressive. Like, how different are they really? Okay. And then there's, we try to do the exact opposite. So sometimes when we see our parents mess up, like, or we see for example, if we see somebody who fell for a womanizer, we're like, we're never gonna fall for a womanizer. In fact, we're just not gonna date at all. Or in fact, it's gonna go. And so you end up with the same lonely feeling or the same sad feeling, but it's just it's in a different packaging because you think you did something so different, but you end up with the same result.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the fun things that happens in coaching, in our community coaching and one-on-one coaching, is we try to deeply understand our patterns so that they're so obvious to us and our friends and our coaches and our mentors and our loved ones and our ministers and everybody, that everyone can see a mile away when you're about to make a mistake and throws their body in the way of you ever making that same mistake again, because it's just so obvious what you're never going to do. So we want to get it crystal clear. And this is for everybody listening, what are the patterns of your parents that you are interrupting on purpose? Now, there's two cool things about, have you ever talked to your mother about interrupting the pattern of settling or overgiving?
No. Well, like interrupting her journey or just interrupting in general?
No, like stopping in other words, breaking the lineage. Like you break.
Yes. We've had a few conversations and she's like, you don't want to be like me. You don't want to do, it's a very vague conversation, but yeah, we have.
But she's like, you go for it, girl. Like, see what you can do.
Yeah.
See what you can
Pretty much. Like, you're the last one. Like, your sister's kind of a lost cause. So, like, that's kind of how it is.
Okay. So everyone's betting on you.
Yes. Literally everyone.
Or at least hopefully. Okay. So the first thing that I recommend folks do if you're on this journey of dating, you want to date like you mean it, you want to go for your 3 H's, is you get crystal clear what are the patterns of my parents. You have to open your eyes. You can't keep them on a pedestal. You can't treat them like they're not worth studying. You have to study and go, these are the patterns I want to break on purpose. That's number one. Then number 2, you release them from blame. You go like, I understand. You were raised by cave people. You didn't know any better. You didn't have coaches. You didn't have therapy. You didn't have Instagram. Like, you were alone.
Yeah.
You were alone. And this is the best you thought you could do. I release you from blame. Very helpful. Also, I release myself from blame. Because if I grow up in a French-speaking household, I'm going to speak French. It is not my fault.
Yeah.
How would I know any different?
Right.
You only know different if you move somewhere else and learn a new language. And that's what coaching is, right? It's like, okay, but it's going to feel as awkward and annoying as learning a new language. Like, it's not going to be easy. Oh, come on, Brianna, just pick a great guy next time. Not so easy.
There's so much more that goes into it. So, yeah.
So much more that goes. Exactly. So those are the steps, right? Acknowledge the pattern, forgive the parent, forgive the self. So it's not about blame anymore. It's in honor of the lineage, break the lineage. In honor of the beautiful things in my lineage and how far I've come, I break the lineage for my foremothers and the future generations. That's the inspiration to then now go use these 3 H's. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Hopefully that's going to just percolate and everyone's going to consider that and feel the relief of not blaming yourself or blaming your parents, but just getting, oh, this is lineage shit. Like, this is real, and I am the hero that's going to break it in honor of my lineage. Then you come up with your 3H list. So if we were going to now make your chart, Brianna, and we were going to say, what are the top 3, 4, 5, 6 things that are so important to you for head, heart, and hoo-ha, what would they be? Please start with head. Maybe he's listening and we can see if he passes the test or not.
He's not. Thank God.
Okay.
For head, remind me of what.
So head is, so let me show everybody an example of the chart, right? And I'll just take you through it. So head, heart, hoo-ha. And I really recommend people put this on a chart. And this is a color-coded chart, which I'll explain later. But head is practical, like where they live, what they want. Do your dreams line up? Like if you want to stay in the location you're in, are they going to want to stay in the location? If you want to have 3 kids, do they want 3 kids? If you love your dog, do they like dogs? It's very practical. So what are the practical?
Definitely has to be a dog lover.
Dog lover.
Okay. They all usually are. So that's great. Dog lover, and has to have a job. Like just a career that you love. It can't be, no shade, guys. It can't be McDonald's. Like we're grown. Some sort of like job.
Okay.
And be family oriented. I don't know if that goes with head. Just like have a good relationship with your parents, because I've noticed if you don't, especially if you don't have a good relationship with your mom, you then treat women like trash. And then if you don't have a relationship with your dad, you're just naturally angry. I've noticed in men, so have to have a good relationship.
This might fall under heart.
Okay.
It could be head, it could be heart, right? It might be practical because you're just like, come on, that's practical. Right. But it might be heart, like, oh, I know the kind of guys that I can actually trust to care about me are people who've resolved some of their issues or didn't have them to begin with their parents.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Anything else on practical? Location, goals, money, religion or politics?
Has to be a man of faith for sure.
Okay, that's important. Put that on the list. That's a very clear.
Very important. And then as far as like location, like has to live here because I can't do the long distance thing. I'm very emotional, so you have to be here. And just very open-minded because life pulls you in multiple different directions. So I work for myself basically, so I can go anywhere. So if I'm like, hey, I'm kind of tired of Atlanta, let's go wherever else, and you're open to it, that's also important. So just being flexible.
Okay, that was about 6 things. I want you to write them down when you have a chance if you haven't already.
Mm-hmm.
Your head list. Okay, so we just did this. If you're following along, make your head list right here. It goes under head. Now we're going to do heart. Heart is what you care about, what matters to your heart, what matters to how you feel. So that could be sense of humor. It could be communication style. It could be a sense of shared purpose. It could be anything to do with like respect or trust or admiration or stuff like that. I think you actually have a few of them that we put on the head list, but what else is important to her?
Loyalty for sure.
Perfect.
Like, yeah.
Some people are into it, some people aren't.
Yeah, and it's scary. So definitely have to be a loyal person. I love a sense of humor because I'm hilarious. So if you can match that, or if you're just like a goofy person and like open to receiving because I'm the type of person that'll like jump on the balcony and like do crazy stuff. So I have to be, also someone that can handle anxiety well. I don't know what that word would be, but just somebody that can like calm me down and like make me feel grounded, I guess. That's really important.
Yep.
What else? Communication for sure. Somebody that's like, that can communicate, that doesn't shut down because you just don't feel like what you're saying is heard or valued. Somebody very open to communication because I'm a big talker, so that would be important.
Do you want them to be a big talker too, or just a good listener, or both?
Both.
If that's important, because sometimes I know I used to think I wanted a big talker, and I'm like, wait, I like to be the talker.
You know what? Actually, no, my ex talked too much. So maybe a listener.
Just be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, maybe a listener, because it would be like we would always cut each other off because he would talk for days. So I would just cut him off and be like, okay, listen, I hear you, but like here's what actually is the problem. So probably a good listener, but has like a tiny bit of like, you know, they know what to say at the right time, but they more so listen. So yeah, probably that.
Okay. Both are hard, right? Both are hard, and
Yeah.
also not men's main, you know, sometimes stereotypically not how men are taught to behave, being good at all that. But it's very important. See how we're kind of like talking it through and discovering it. That's what I'm recommending for everybody, is that you talk it through with someone and you discover it.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times we think we know the thing. Like, I want a big talker, and you're like, do I know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like, I thought I wanted to marry someone Jewish because I wanted to raise my kids Jewish, and I was like, do I know? Like,
Yeah.
no, I just want to like celebrate these holidays with my children, and I did not require marrying a Jewish person for that. It worked out great marrying a Presbyterian.
Yeah.
So, and you know, he's like making the Seder tomorrow for Passover. So cool.
Yeah.
I worked out. And if I had been like, no, it has to be a Jewish person, I would not have found my soulmate.
Right.
So sometimes we think we know the thing, and you have to talk it out with a friend or a coach or a buddy or whatever, and really go like, oh, I want someone who listens well and someone who can express themselves, but not necessarily a big talker.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely not a big talker.
Okay, perfect. Like erase.
Yeah, not anymore, please.
I learned one. Okay, so what about hoo-ha? What do you need for the turn-on factor? And this is another one. While you think about your list, I want to just advise everybody. Sometimes what you think is the thing. Like, I grew up thinking like blue eyes. Ooh. Like, no, not true. Not true. I was brainwashed by some TV show. I think it was the pirate movie, just to date myself. Like, you brainwashed by some TV show when I was very impressionable to think like that's what sexy is. It actually isn't what was sexy to me at all. So I just really, again, test this out with your friends. Test this out with people you've been attracted to before or have grown attracted to. So you really get to what is it that you really need, not what you think you should want. Okay? Like, I really like feeling a certain way in my husband's arms, and that's what I wanted. Like, that's what I needed, to feel like a certain chest underneath my head. It could have come in any hair color or eye color. It really wasn't about that. So, okay, back to you. I'll be quiet. What are your hoo-ha desires?
I am obsessed with dreadheads. Like, obsessed.
Oh.
Like that's sometimes all I need. So that's like one of my favorite things, but obviously that's very surface level.
But what's nice about that is that can be accomplished by a lot of people. Like, it's something that, like, when you say, oh, I need blue eyes, it's like, oh, like, you can't change that. But
yeah, there's a lot of dreadheads, and there's a lot of not so my type dreadheads, but like the one that I'm talking to now, then like I love a man that smells good. You don't have to smell like this like fucking $15,000 cologne, but just like you smell good. Like that is
get it.
Well groomed, like, you know, keeps a haircut, keeps his nails and toes done. Like, you don't have to get an actual
dreads and well groomed. That's a little dicey.
Yes, but it's definitely, after dealing with who I've dealt with, it's almost a non-negotiable. Like,
okay,
yeah, it's very important.
No,
like, and hygiene overall, like, because if you're talking about hoo-ha, really
I'm
need to.
not gonna argue with hygiene.
Yeah, hygiene. Please. Again, after dealing with what I've dealt with, non-negotiable. I think that's kind of like. Hold on. I do.
So are dreads a deal breaker, or are they really nice to have? Because I get hygiene is a deal breaker. Like, hygiene's a deal breaker, but are dreads a deal breaker?
At this current moment in my life, yes.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know. It's so funny. I talk to my friends about this all the time, and I'm like, he doesn't have dreads. Like, I don't know.
Now, you know you can ask for dreads, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that's the duty.
But if you're like a man with a low cut and you have waves, you're probably gonna have that for quite some time before. And then, like, my thing with dreads is like, I like people with longer dreads, and you have to go, you know what I mean?
All right. You are representing a group of humans that is making the pool a bunch smaller. I highly recommend you prove the theory. The wider I open my my criteria, the more candidates there will be, but there are certain deal breakers.
Yeah.
And we focus on the deal breakers. Hygiene's a deal breaker. Loyalty's a deal breaker. Faith is a deal breaker. And we really focus on how good it's going to feel to have someone like that, and then allow for a wider variety of other permutations of the other things.
Yeah.
Unless you're like in no rush at all and you can wait forever. If you can wait forever, you can.
I don't want to wait forever.
Yeah, but if you're like, I'd really like someone now, is the more you can mess with and open your mind, like you said, open-minded, right? Mm-hmm. The more you can be open-minded about exactly how it has to look, the more options you're going to have.
True.
Fair, right? It's fair. Okay. Yeah. But if you're like loving, but the pitfall is that if you're like, it's got to be dreadlocks, and then this guy is starting to not show up in head or heart, like not get good grades in head and heart, and you're like, but the dreads.
Yeah. So I'm really good at like being able to detach from, like, if I'm not getting my needs met in one part, like, right. Yeah, just because he's a attractive dreadhead, whatever, like, I can still be like, you're not it.
Okay, know? Perfect. Yeah. That's all I need to hear from you. So, perfect segue into how to use the 3H chart, and what I want to offer you and what I want to offer everyone is you make your chart, 5 to 10 things, not more, please. Crystallize it down. Make your deal breakers bold, because if a deal breaker turns red, it's a no-go. It's an immediate abort the mission. If other things, like in this example, blue eyes went red, who cares? It's fine, nice to have, whatever. I think I care, but who cares, right? If everything's green, I'm keeping this person. So things can be red on the chart, but you can't have a deal breaker be red, or it is an absolute no pass, no go, abort the mission. Sorry, let your friends back you up. So the game is you have 3 dates with somebody to turn this entire chart green or red. In other words, you have to determine each of these criteria within 3 dates. If it's yellow, it means I don't know yet, or so-so. If it's red, you figured out it's a no, right? College grad, no. Wants to move around freely, no. You know, person of faith, no. It's red. If it's yes, it's green. If it's yellow, it means I don't know, or so-so.
Okay? So 3 dates with one person, right?
3 dates with each individual to determine whether or not they fit the criteria. I am okay with, you don't have to ask on the first date, you know, how often do you bathe? Right? Maybe you bathe the 3rd date, right? Or you know, you're on the 2nd date before you ask, like, would you be cool with moving around the world? Because you don't want to, you know. So if the hoo-ha is high and the head is compatible, in other words, if in general you are looking for the same things and the hoo-ha is high, most people will be happy to answer any questions on the first 3 dates that will help them determine if it's a match or not. It's like you're helping the community by having your list of questions ready to go. And this is more advanced. We'll talk about it some other day, but you're not just going to be like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You're going to come up with some really good questions.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about your sister? What do you love about your mom? What do you
This guy asks really good questions, so we've had some good conversation. His first question was, what's your family dynamic like? I was like, how much time you got? Like,
exactly. So where do I begin? Exactly. So it's always nice when someone else does the work to come up with good questions. You're going to, of course, do the same. You know, what do your friends know you for? What was your biggest learning in your last relationship? So you're going to come up with interesting questions that someone cannot have a boring answer to, that are going to reveal red, green, or yellow for everything. And you have 3 dates to do it. And if everything isn't green or red, you got to work on your question skills, or drink less, or make sure your dates are longer. Okay, we're going to tweak it.
Or actual dates, because sometimes men don't do dates.
Yes. Hold out for dates if you're looking. If you're dating like you mean it for your person, you hold out for dates, which means a drink at first, coffee or a drink, which turns into a meal if the H's are happy, which then turns into a walk if the H's are happy. No leaving public in the first 3 dates. No having sex in the first 3 dates. No leaving public in the first 3 dates. It is all about getting to know each other. And if the hoo-ha is high, that person will keep coming back to engage in that with you. Okay. And they can wait. Thank you very much.
What if you start backwards?
What do you mean?
Like you start with sex.
Not a good idea for finding the one. It's not that it couldn't work. Like, there are exceptions, but it would never be my coaching.
Okay.
Because the problem when you sleep with someone, first of all, men love a conquest and they like to get laid. So happy for them, but not necessarily happy for you. The other thing is that the chemicals involved, obviously, in having sex are different for women than for men.
Yeah.
And women get attached and then they start lying about the 3 H's. So it's really good to wait 3 dates, answer all the questions, and then rate, honestly, scale of 1 to 10, head, heart, and hoo-ha. So, and if they're not all getting 8 or above, abort the mission after 3 dates, before you're attached, before you've had sex, before you've wasted time and money and mascara. Abort the mission after those 3 dates, and let the chart tell you the truth. Right? This is a date 1 chart, too much yellow. By date 3, it's all green and red. If a deal breaker's red, it's a no. If the ratings are not 8 or above in all 3, it's a no. We're like breaking it down to math and science here because we're overcoming lineage. Like lineage is all of our neural pathways is lineage. So we have to overcome that with a whole new program, like a whole new operating system.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to shut up. Questions, comments, concerns?
I don't have any now. Actually, this was very helpful.
We've thought of everything.
Yeah, this was very helpful. Helps me in my current situation. Helps me in situations to come. So now we just.
It's a tool for your back pocket.